We're back, so we'll reconvene this meeting. We'll start with our land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of the Lishawn, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok and Northern Yokut, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the MDUSD community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land in which we learn, but also we recognize that the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of MDUSD and broader Bay Area communities today. You may stand for the pledge. Okay. All right, and that moves us to 6.3, review and potential approval of minutes for regular board meeting held January 31st, just last week.
Madam President, I move to approve. Sorry, the thing's jumping around. I move to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting held January 31st, 2024.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. That's a motion from Trustee Count and a second from Trustee Mason. Trustee Barrios?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we move to 6.4, review and approval of the agenda. Dr. Clark, are there any changes?
No changes, Madam President.
Okay.
I move that we approve the agenda. I'll second that.
That's a motion from Trustee Nzewi and a second from Trustee Mason. Trustee Barrios?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0. That moves us to the report out of action taken in closed session. 7.1, negotiations. The board may discuss negotiations or provide direction to its representatives regarding represented employees pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The board received information. For 7.2, discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of public employee, Government Code Section 54957B1, the board received information. For 7.3, pending litigation, settlement agreement for special education placement. By a vote of 5-0, the board approved the settlement agreement for out-of-school placement as presented. And then for 7.4, existing litigation, conference with legal counsel, Government Code Section 549561 case, the board received information on this item. And that takes us to public comment. I'm not seeing much of an audience this evening. Do we have any public comment? No. Okay. So that moves us to 9.0 communications. Do we have anyone speaking on this item? No. Okay. So that moves us to 10.0 recognitions and resolutions. Dr. Clark, are you taking this section?
This is resolution 23/24-51, variable term waivers, and we have Dr. Rubio here to present this item.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, Dr. Clark. Before you have a resolution for variable term waivers. This waiver request is made when there's not a properly credentialed person at this time, but they need more time to complete their requirements. We have one employee in front of you requesting approval for a school counseling position.
I make a motion to approve resolution 23/24-51 for variable term waiver.
Second.
That's a motion from Trustee Mason and a second from Trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0.
Great. And then the next item, Dr. Rubio is going to take that as well.
Great, thank you very much. In front of you, we have a resolution to give one additional employee who teaches math at one of our high schools additional time to teach in an area which they can teach with enough coursework. Appreciate your support on this also.
Madam President, I move to approve Resolution 2324-52, Local Assignment Options EC 44263.
Second.
The motion from trustee Count and a second from trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rubio. Okay,
Madam President, looking in the audience, I don't see anyone for 11-1, 11-2, or 11-3. So I'm going to ask that we move forward with 12.1 and come back to those ones. Sorry. Yeah.
it feels early for board member reports, I think is what's going on. All right, I think we started on this side of the room before. So trustee Mason, do you have a report this evening?
Very brief. Actually, I started the day out, as many of us did, at Meadow Homes reading I read to 2 4th grade classes, and I picked 4th grade because that's where I developed my love for reading because of Mrs. Hamlin, my 4th grade teacher, who introduced me to Winnie the Pooh. And I told the kids how I read like a book a week now, and I read 67 books last year, and I only read an hour or so a day so they could do it. And we had a good time doing that. And I was on the CSBA Zoom meeting about the governor's budget the other night, and at Oak Grove for their IB meeting. And I just wanted to let, I'm sure all the people that are listening know that on Thursday, February 15th at the Bay Point, the Contra Costa Library in Bay Point at Riverview Middle School, if you want to learn to be a DJ, Thursday, February 15th at 4, they're having a session on that. So that's my report.
Trustee Mayo, do you have a report?
So I'll steal your thunder, President McFerrin. President McFerrin and I attended the Special Education CAC meeting on February 6th, which was yesterday, I think. The committee will be reviewing the special ed local plan chapter by chapter over the next several meetings. This extended school year signups are now open, so parents should check their child's IEP for student eligibility. This Dyslexia Task Force will resume its meetings on February 13th. The celebration of success will be held on April 17th at Concord High School, and nominations are still being accepted. And finally, the Legislation Committee will attend Advocacy Day on May 1st in Sacramento. And if you want further details about that event, please contact Dorothy Weisenberger. I attended the fentanyl awareness presentation at Oak Grove Middle School on February 1st, and it was excellent. I thoroughly recommend that individuals attend. And the next presentation is at Pine Hollow Middle School on February 29th. And it's also beneficial, I think, if parents take their children with them to these presentations. Several of us attended the Concord High School Bear mascot reveal and pep rally. It was fun to be at a pep rally. I haven't been to one in a while. And currently I'm recruiting judges for the 2024 Contra Costa Science and Engineering Fair, which will be held March 8th at Las Madonas College. I need 150 judges. Judges review scientist entries for grades 7 through 12 in 6 areas: behavior, biology, engineering, environmental, math and computer science, and physics. And the County Science Fair is the gateway fair to the California State Fair and international fairs. So people often ask, why aren't there science fairs at middle school and high school? And this is the opportunity for students to participate. Judges don't need to be expert. They just need to be knowledgeable and passionate about science. And the treat is you get breakfast and lunch. So please visit ba-leads.org/science fair or type in 2024 Contra Costa Science Fair in your search bar. Thank you.
What's the time commitment?
It's from 7 to 3.
Yes.
Trustee Barrios, do you have a report this evening?
Yeah. On Sunday, Friday, we had a multicultural rally, our first one, which was pretty interesting. I think we had people from the Philippines, Hispanic culture, and I don't remember which. No, I don't want to assume, but like it was really cool and it was pretty fun. It was so cool seeing their like traditional dances and stuff, and a bunch of people came, some families came, and it was really beautiful. And Sunday I went to a Valentine boutique, which we're volunteering for a certain company. I think it's Bay Area Festivals, where there are like very big donators to our HOSA for Mount Diablo and Ignacio Valley. So come and see all the events because it's really fun and there's a lot of vendors. And today I went to go read. I didn't know being in front of 20 10-year-olds was going to be that scary, but it was pretty fun. I should probably practice my reading a little bit more, but it was worth it. Yeah. And that's it.
That was a great report. Trustee Count, do you have a report this evening?
Not too much really. I too enjoyed Global Literacy Day today at Meadow Homes. That was super fun. And met students from Afghanistan, Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and Concord. So we had some fun times looking at globes and figuring out where people were from, where their families were from, related to the books that we were reading. So that was really great. And I've also recently signed up for the CSBA Coast to Coast, which is in DC on April 8th to 10th. So let me know if any of the rest of you are planning to go. I'm excited to go and advocate for education policy and funding at the federal level. And I too enjoyed being at Concord. Go Bears.
My turn. Right. Oh yeah, I'm last. Then it's you. Where was I going to start? I could start with a reading. I love to read aloud. You all may not know, but I did theater all the way through college and a little bit after. And so it's like my chance to act out characters. So I loved my time reading this morning at Meadow Homes. 3 fun books. And I was especially impressed by the students. How would I say? The way sometimes I asked them to guess what would happen next because some of the books were getting juicy and like what was going to be on the next page, and their ability to think what the conflict could possibly be. But then I learned a whole new concept that did not exist when I was a child in elementary school, middle, high school, or college, but President McFerrin knows, which is text to self connection. because a little girl raised her hand and said, I have a text to self connection. But I didn't want to know that look like I don't know what she's talking about. So I just said, tell me. And she was able to make the connection about this grumpy bear who's being forced to raise these goslings because he thought they were just eggs that he was trying to boil, but then they hatched, and so he becomes mama, to some show that she watched on Disney Plus, and somebody else was born and thought this one was the mama, and she had the text to self connection. So now everyone knows what that is. So I loved that. I loved seeing that their excitement. One, I think I was cool because I broke up the day. Two, they were just so lovely and enthusiastic. Go Bears. I loved the rally. I loved the school spirit and the community that was built around introducing the new mascot. And a special shout out to the band because it almost made me miss being in the marching band. I haven't done alumni band day at Cal in many years. So, but I'm not like, I didn't miss it that much because I don't feel like marching. But I appreciated the great musicianship and then the great spirit from the leadership students who led all the silly games. I was cheering for every class. Finally, I'd like to share it's Black History Month, and I just love to share this event that's happening online, free for everybody. It's on the Eastern time zone. So it's kind of it would be hard, like if you have other things to do during the day, as many people do. But the Centering Black Children in Education is hosting a webinar in their Sankofa Scholar Series, which has one of my favorites as its keynote speaker on February 22nd from 11 a.m. Pacific to 12. It's just 1 hour. Dr. Bettina Love. Yes, she delivers a potent narrative during her keynote presentation, shedding light on the impact of 4 decades of educational reform, particularly on Black children who lived it firsthand. She exposes the profound consequences of these reforms and, drawing insights from leading U.S. economists, provides a reparative roadmap. Emphasizing the pivotal role of transformation, Dr. Love advocates for reparations in her compelling address. So that's February 22nd. I'll remind us at our next meeting too. I have to do the math. 11 to 12. I don't know how you register. It says click here, but it's called Centering Black Children in Education. Their website is probably cbceconference.info. They give a free conference every summer for the last 2 years that I've attended. That's amazing. It's amazing. It's online, so it's accessible. That's why it's like, yeah, that's it.
Okay, I appreciated all those reports, although many of them did spark some FOMO in retrospect for me. I was disappointed to not be able to make it to the rally at Concord High, and I'm so glad that it was such an enjoyable event. I do appreciate that Concord High has pretty good social media, so I did get to see, a video of Grizz, and he looks pretty good. He looks a little, yeah, I like that. I did get to see the women's basketball game between Concord High and Los Lomas on Friday night, and that was a really fun game to attend, and a hard fought game on both sides for sure. And then I did, as Trustee Mayo mentioned, I did get to go to the CAC meeting. Trustee Mayo gave a very comprehensive explanation of that meeting. It was for the first time they did broadcast and record the speaker, who was Tiffany Allen, who's the lead psychologist, I think, for the district on dyslexia. So that's one piece that I appreciated, kind of the trying to figure out how to make at least as much of the meeting kind of accessible for people that aren't able to make it in person. And I think that is all I have to share this evening. So that should bring us to Dr. Clark.
Yeah, my report, I don't have a report for this week after I did that very extensive positive report for last week. But again, just continue to just after hearing all the things that you guys are doing, just to continue to appreciate the things that are taking place out at our schools, and to continue to celebrate our students every opportunity we get. Our students are doing incredible things. As Trustee Mayo referred to, I was at the fentanyl presentation that took place over at Oak Grove last week. And again, it's just, I'm really thankful for Linda Pete and her team for continuing to put this on. And we have a couple parents in the community, and one of them is in employees who come out and share some very, very personal stories. And it's just something that is very important for our parents to hear, and for young people to hear. And I often see young people, because I talk to some of the young people who go there, and we have young people from other districts, other schools within our area and stuff who attend these. And so I'm just thankful for the board allowing us to really talk about this instead of putting it on the back burner and thinking that it's someone else's responsibility to bring this up and to address that. And so again, that's just one thing that that was very powerful. I did get a report on the CAC meeting last night. Heard it was very positive, and we got some good public comments at CAC. Again, hats off to the work that's taken place to meet all of our students' needs. Again, when we talk about all means all, it really does mean all. And what are we doing to make sure that all of our students are being successful within our organization? And I'm just very pleased to see the work that's taking place out there throughout the district. So with that, that'll conclude my presentation. And I do see we have our auditor here, so we can go to 11.1, followed by 11.2, and I'll call up Mr. Vargas to introduce our guest.
All right, so we have Jeff back again from Nigro and Nigro, and this time he'll be first reviewing the 2010 Measure C audit report, and then the next item will be the 2018 Measure J audit report.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. And I thought being 10 minutes late, I figured I'd still be here another hour before you got to the audits, but thanks for waiting. I was here last month to present the district's annual audit. Now we're here to talk about the financial and performance audits for Measures J and Measure C. Before I get into the reports themselves, I just really like to talk about briefly what do we mean by a financial audit and performance audit, because sometimes there's some misunderstanding. So the financial audit is similar to the district's audit, where we're just really auditing financial statements. In this case, it's really just the financial statements of that one bond measure. So the district accounts for those measures in separate accounts within the district's financials. And so we break those financial statements out separately, present them in these reports, and issue an opinion on those financial statements, just like the district's audit, which is an unmodified opinion, which is clean. That's what you want to get. Basically, that those financial statements are fairly presented. The performance audit is probably what most people want to see, because that's really what people are thinking about when they think of a bond audit. Where the funds spent appropriately. So the performance audit really only takes up 2 pages in this whole report. It's the last 2 pages, but it's really where the bulk of the time on the audit is spent, is doing the performance audit procedures. So we do look at a sample of expenditures. We don't look at every single one, because you don't want to pay us to do that. Nobody would. And but we do a sampling of the expenditures. We look at all sorts of different vendors. We pick some randomly. We look at high dollar amounts. We pick enough to ensure that we have a good chunk of expenditures that we've looked at. We try not to do too much repetition, where we're looking at the same vendor being paid every month on the same contract. We look at different, but then we go beyond that. We look at contracts. We actually did some site walks. We look at public contract code, as far as how contracts are procured. We look at the whole process of, did they go out to bid properly? Did they advertise all of the requirements of public contract code? We also look at change order procedures to make sure that, that the district doesn't exceed the 10% limit on change orders without rebidding. So there's a lot of other things that we do. And essentially it just comes down to in the audit, whether we report any findings or not. And I'm really pleased to let you know that both audits were clean, no findings in either one. And that's for the financial audit, clean opinion, and the performance audit, clean opinion for both. Now, I kind of talked about both of them together. Obviously, Measure J is larger, has more activity. So we looked at more there, but essentially what you want to know in the reports is they're both clean. So that's kind of a quick overview, but I'm happy to answer any further questions you might have.
I appreciate the explanation of the performance audit because that's what we've received some questions about recently. And I'm pleased to hear you provide an explanation about the detail because that's what individuals had questions about. So we'll give them your phone number when they call us next time. How's that?
That sounds good. I'm happy to.
Likewise, I agree. And it's helpful for you to be describing this here at our public meeting so that the public can understand, the purpose of these audits and how detailed you were in going through both of the bonds and even walking sites and checking all of those details. So this is really great news that we should definitely be sharing out to the public. And with that, I move to accept the 2010 Measure C audit report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023.
Second.
It's a motion from trustee Count and a second from trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. I think I failed to mention too that we do meet with the bond committee as well when we're doing the audits during the planning phase, but we're also going to be presenting the audits to the bonds committees in the coming weeks as well. Thank you.
That's great to hear. Do we need a motion on the second item?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's not- well,
Yeah. So we're on 11.4. Okay. So I move that we accept the 2018 Measure J audit report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, thank you. That's a motion from trustee Count and a second from trustee Nsawi. Okay, and that motion passes 5-0. And so we'll move to the consent agenda.
I had a,
Did I skip your vote? How do you vote, trustee Barrios? Of course it counts.
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our excellent student board member.
as we go into consent, I just wanted to, I don't want to pull these items, but I just wanted to make a comment on 14.9, 14.10, and 14.12. 14.9 we're asking to increase the purchase orders with Bay City Mechanical Services for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning to help us with our work orders. So again, I just want to acknowledge the fact that we received input about some of our heaters and things of that nature. And this is a direct result of that, of the contracts that we do go out. And this is something to increase it. So this shows that we've exhausted what we've put there. And then also 14.10, it's a ratification, means we've already gotten work done on the boiler systems. So again, those boiler systems help heat our gyms, and we've had to do major work on several of our boilers. And then also just 1412 around security cameras at Riverview Middle School. I know we've also, we've heard about some of this supervision issues there and some of the things that have taken place at Riverview, and just again, just our response to that. And not on the consent, but Melanie stepped out, but I know previous meetings we had complaints about the homeless at Mount Diablo High School at the softball field. And so we have been working, Melanie's team's been working with Caltrans and the California Highway Patrol to clean that out. So they did clean it out. People came back, and then again, we called for service, but there's no cost to us. So you're not going to see a cost for that come out on the consent calendar. So just wanted to make those 3 comments. Thank you.
Thank you for the additional context around those items.
I would like to pull 14.3.
And I have a question about one. I don't think it needs to be pulled because it's not going to affect my vote. I just know that, and I asked the question, but maybe I didn't ask it the right way. On the gardening program, they have the nice little graph telling where all the funding for the gardens are from, but it doesn't list it with the garden lead people. So I'm not, is that us paying it? Is it Life Lab paying it? I just was curious what the funding source is for those, and I can get that at any time. It's not going to affect my vote.
So I pulled 14.3. So are there any ones
So I was gonna
to
make a
pull?
motion. I move that we approve the consent calendar except for 14.3.
Second that.
Okay, that's a motion by trustee, trustee Nzewi, and a second by trustee Mason. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So 14.3 becomes 15.1.
So, and this was not a question, really. I just wanted to say I'm really excited to see that the Olympic Community Schools initial planning grant is now moving into an implementation grant that they're applying for. I think that's really exciting to see. And I'm hopeful that with that as a model, that we might be able to explore the community schools program at other schools in the district. And that was it, really. So, with that, I move to approve the California Community Schools Program Implementation Grant.
Second.
That's a motion from trustee Count and a second from trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. Okay. Should we move on to our business items for 17? Dr. Clark, okay. All right, great. All right. Hello, Mr. Vargas.
We have 17.1, and we have Mr. Vargas is going to take this item.
So what I have is to review and the potential approval of an independent service contract with Team Civics. Team Civics is a campaign pollster group that will assist the district with the class size reduction initiative. I do have Anita Johnson here, who's been working hard on this initiative. And so did you want to say a few words about the process?
Update everybody. Our class size reduction committee represented a broad cross-section of our community and included parents, teachers, administrators, community activists, business owners, and trustees from all 7 different towns and municipalities and areas in our district. The committee held 3 meetings to learn about the great need for class size reduction, the process of placing a revenue measure on the November ballot, and the process of studying voter interest through a poll of registered voters. The committee heard presentations from 3 prospective consultants and unanimously selected Team Civics as the one that we would recommend to you. Team Civics brings strong experience in assessing voter interest and developing campaigns. Over 90% of the campaigns they work on win. The presenters explained the process and their recommendations and thoroughly and cogently answered all of the committee's questions. We found that they were particularly knowledgeable about polling strategies and the strategic aspects of the per square foot approach. We ask that you approve this proposal. Thank you.
Take any
Questions?
questions?
I just want to thank Anita Johnson for leading this effort, and all of our district staff that were involved as well. It was a pleasure to be able to be part of a group and hear from all the different perspectives from parents, teachers, business members, and to see them all come to a unanimous recommendation.
So what are we asking for? They're going to poll people. What are they asking people?
Those questions will be developed with the committee. So right now we're asking for approval of the contract so we can engage with Team Civics to develop the survey questions. And then they will do the survey based off working with the committee.
So we are going to pay $50,000 and then decide what we're going to ask the people when we call them.
So we're paying a monthly fee of $7,500 a month when it'll be prorated on when they start. So that's the first cost. And then up to $42,250, depending on the length of the conversation or the questions being asked and how many people that the pollers go after. So yes, and then we will develop that, and then they will do the poll, and then we will come back with the results.
So when you say we, is that the committee or is that these people we're paying?
Well, both the committee and the committee will be working with the vendor.
That seems odd to me. But I said in the beginning I was a no vote, and so far nothing's changed in my mind on that. So
I move to approve the independent service contract with Team Civics LLC and Mount Diablo Unified School District to assess the electoral feasibility of a ballot measure related to class size reduction.
Second.
That's a motion from trustee Nzewi and a second from trustee Cound. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
I abstain.
Okay, and that motion passes 4-1 with an abstention from our student board member. Okay, We'll move on to 17.2. Review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations. September 2023 quarterly update.
Yeah, so we brought these couple meetings ago, and this is just our process for updating our policies as we receive the recommendations from CSBA. So we are seeking approval on these.
Madam President, I move the board approve the updates to board policies 1160, board policy 1330, administrative regulation 1330, board bylaw 9124, and the deletion of obsolete Form E, that's an exhibit 1330.
Second. Okay, that's a motion from
Well,
trustee
I-
Mayo.
Issue with one of them. The political processes. I did not agree, and I'm assuming this with the CSCA recommendation, but I did not agree with the change to add individual school members may include their name in support or opposition to a county, city, district, or school measure on county ballot in accordance with election code 2170. Being nonpartisan, I mean, if we individually want to put our name to something, but to put it as a school board member, that doesn't square with me.
My understanding is that this is in accordance with the elections code, and usually the way that I see it when candidates or propositions list who has endorsed, usually the title is just for identification purposes, so it's not that you're endorsing on behalf of MDUSD. You're endorsing as an individual, so I was fine with this being added in. It's in accordance with my understanding of the law.
Yeah, I read it as a just empowering our board members as individuals, and to be able to say, your name and that you do serve on the board, but it's a way just to give our board members freedom to be able to provide input, or the ability to be able to provide input.
I think that was, do I remember that? Was that a motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Count? Okay.
The motion was by trustee.
Sorry.
It's already there.
Oh.
But yeah.
Nicely done. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yeah, yes.
Fair enough. So that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. And then that should bring us to 17.3.
Yeah. And again, these are just these are our quarterly updates, and this is just info only. So we'll bring these back either at the next meeting or the one following our next meeting.
All right, if there are no questions, that should move us to 17.4, review and potential selection of 3 candidates for the 2024 California School Board Association Delegate Assembly election. This is for information.
And yeah, we have the candidates' bios that are attached to this item. If you'd like to take a look at them, or yeah, it's only info. No, we put info action in case you guys were ready.
Okay, here I go again. There's 2 I can support, 1 I can't, so doesn't matter to me. We can do, if you guys want to do the whole slate, I'll just vote no, or we could break them up.
Why don't you make the first motion and then we can vote separately on the
Okay.
third? I apologize.
I like that idea. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we accept Yolanda Pena Mendick and Marina Ramos as delegates for 2024.
Second.
A motion by trustee Mason and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
It was a motion by trustee Mayo and a second, no,
Motion.
motion by trustee Mason, second by trustee Mayo.
But now I made it hard because she has to change it. No.
Okay, and that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Do you want me to make a motion? So then we can have discussion. Madam President, Madam President, I move the board cast its third ballot in favor of Mary Helen Roca as a member on Delegate Assembly.
Trustee Mason, did you want to say anything about why you?
Was there a second?
There was no second. Oh, whoops.
Second. Okay, why? Go.
Well, I'm not gonna, I will
Okay.
just say I've known this person not to always show the best judgment.
All right, so that seems like a motion from trustee Mayo and a second from trustee Nzewi. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
That motion passes 4-1 with concurrence from our student board member. And so I think, are we moving to our family purpose?
Yes, and that is
Presentation.
item 11.3. It's an informational item, and again, if you remember, we had Family Purpose in last year. They shared that that their process is to establish relationships with our wonderful students. We felt that some staff were hesitant to form relationships with some of our students, so we contract out, and Family Purpose has really done a great job at supporting our students. And so we wanted to bring them here tonight to share some of their data and some of the things that are going on with them thus far this year. So I have Samantha Allen, who will introduce our guest.
Good evening, Dr. Clark, President McFerrin, and trustees. Thank you for your patience. We have Monique Turner here tonight, who is the co-founder of Family Purpose. They are a group who empower youth through SCL services, academic support, accountability, and advocacy. We have them at Oak Grove, Riverview Middle School, Mount Diablo High School, and Ignacio Valley High School. And we are super lucky that Ms. Turner enjoys coming to our board meetings and sharing data and information about the wonderful things they do with our students. So thank you.
Thank you very much. My apologies for being late. I also provide after school programming for Pittsburgh High School. And so I have to make sure that all our schools are in a line because my program director is out this week. So my apologies. But I do enjoy sharing, the data because I just think it's very important to come in and to just give, show pictures and show what we're doing and answer any questions before we come back to the board and say, hey, can we have another contract, right? Okay, so yes, so like Ms. Samantha said, we are in 4 schools. Really enjoy being in the 4 schools that we are in because the 2 middle schools that we have feed into the high schools, right? And so I'm really excited to be able to see the data of that, where the program students this year that ended up going into the high school, how they were able to go in high school. Normally they're failing middle school, but now getting into high school and passing that first semester, right? Because we know that that is a huge disconnect, right? And that's just like worldwide, I feel, and so because we know 3rd through 8th grade, our students, no matter what they get, their grades are, they're getting passed along. So it's very important for us to make sure that we are building those connections so that we can help our students be successful. So so that's our main target right now as being 2nd semester is targeting our 8th graders that have a 2.0 and below to try to make sure that we're doing everything that we can. And that's not just our program students right now, that's like all the students in the school. So a query of all those students that failed the first semester and see what we can do to ensure the success of them for the 2nd semester. But now I'll get into.
Can I ask you just a question on that? You said all the students versus your program students.
Mhm.
How does a student become a program student versus?
So, but from that, right, we're going to call all the students in, and then from that, they can become a part of the program. Also, another way they become part of the program is through care team, through referrals from admin, referrals from teachers, referral from parents, and self-referral. No, we don't turn any students away, and we're not a cookie cutter program, right? And what I mean by that is that wherever there's a problem, then we try to fill that void, right? And so even though that like right now we contract for that one person to be on campus, I have like 3 or 4 people on campus at Riverview Middle School because of the need. We have 3 people on campus at Oak Grove, again, because of the need. And so what we did this year as something extra to provide to the district because we've seen the need is we partnered with the Foster Hope this year. And so we're working very close with I just went blank with her, Miss Rosie. And so we're really excited about that because we're able to, so every week we have one staff member that is checking in with those students. And then that report goes to Miss Rosie every day. And then I also provide an extra person to work with our ELD students. And so I have somebody that rotates in between all 4 sites providing support to our ELD classes. And so, and then we have a gentleman this year. So we're excited about Mr. Eric because now we are providing boys groups, right? And so when we first started, we was just a girls program. Now, again, the need here is for our Latino community. So we also have somebody else new that is Latino so that way we can work with our Latino population. So we try to we're African-American, Latino, ELD, and foster home. Right. So we're bringing it all again, because again, it takes a village. And so we try to provide village services. You want to get into the slide? Oh, okay, here we go. So we just talked about all of the different support right now because we are in February. And so Ms. Tiffany is going around to all the schools, and there will be the Black College Expo presentations that is happening at all the schools. And so we're excited about that. All the students that attend will be able to get a ticket so that they can attend the Black College Expo on the weekend. Okay, so number of student interactions. So that's how many times that we interact with students. And what's YV, so 1,239, parent interactions 74, conflict mediations 24, 3 was unsuccessful. So unsuccessful means that it didn't work. Maybe they felt like they didn't want to talk. It could have even been that it didn't work to where it still resulted in a fight, right? So that's what the unsuccessful means. Outreach, yep, so the Black College Expo, we talked about that expo presentation. So first semester was at first semester 1.64, second semester 2.12. So we're excited about that, right? So we actually did increase, so that's really good. And then, so for Mount Diablo, we're new to Mount Diablo this year. And so the numbers are lower than what they are for YB because we already had previous relationships with students there. And so we're just now building those relationships. So we have 825 student interactions, 42 parent interactions, 5 conflict mediations, because again, we're new there. So we're building that relationship that, you know what, we are the experts in mediations. So that has increased a lot since we've done this presentation. And so again, first semester and this is just with our program students, right? Not with the whole school overall. So it was at 1.94, it went up to 2.53. So that's a great thing. We're also excited now that we have a drop down screen in Aries. And so that will allow the district to be able to track data, right? And so that's a really good thing, and not just, you know, data that comes from us. And then so Oak Grove, 320 with 37 parent interactions, 12 conflict mediations, and then 2 of those were unsuccessful. And then again, we're glad that the GPA went up from 1.75 to 2.10. So we want to try to get it beyond the 2, right? I want to get it into the 3s, right? At least let's get to the 3s, but that's the overall goal of the program. And then Riverview is really, really high because we have multiple people there, like I said. So some days there's like 3 people there. Mr. Eric doing the boys groups, then the person doing the ELD, and then also Miss Marianne, who's just overseeing the program students. And so parent interactions is at 79, 32 conflict mediations, 5 unsuccessful. We do a lot of conflict resolution there, and that's why it's very important for another person, because if not, then we really wouldn't be able to see our program students. And then the GPA here too, it went up. So they were at a 2.0 at first and then 2.81. That's good. We're almost to that goal that we want. And then, so these are, like I was just talking about, the additional services that we provide to you guys at all of the different sites. And then, so this is the FAFSA registration with Mount Diablo, Black students. So the students outside doing the flag. I provide a girls empowerment. That's really fun. It's a half-a-day event. It's really great. We do a lot of just building with self-worth, self-love. We also did a vision board this time, and so that was really cool and fun. The girls really enjoyed that. And then to follow up, we just do the small groups. And so this was really a great event. So many friendships are built from this, right? And so it's just great. And then this is the outside part of it where they're working on a skit. So if you see them like that, that's because they're working on a skit. And the skits are all about, we have this problem, right? And so they come up with their own conflict, but somebody in the group has to be the solution, right? And the goal of that is just so that they can see that they can solve the problems, right? It's just about STOP, which is the framework we use, which is slow down, think about it, open your mind, process how to proceed.
When you say half a day, is that during school hours, after school? Where does the half day happen?
During school, so from the morning until lunch. And so parent permission slips are given out, and then teachers are notified. And so, yeah, they're with us for a half a day. And then at lunchtime, we provide lunch. So it's normally on a Wednesday. So then that way, it's like they eat lunch and, well, you know, from inside, and then they leave because there is no lunch, right? And so, yeah, so normally it's on a Wednesday because it's an early day. Yeah, so then see pizza, they get wristbands. I give everybody shirts, so all the girls get the I Am Her shirts, and so that's fun. The expo, so this was the UCAN when they bused to go to the UCAN, and we had a few students that actually were accepted on the spot to different colleges, so that was really cool and exciting. And so see, as you see right there, they Kanaya, I think, yeah, that's Kanaya, and I don't know what the name is for her. But, and then this is Mr. Eric with the boys groups. So these boys groups happen at Mount Diablo as well as Riverview. He's at Riverview as well. And then that's the GIG groups. So what GIG means is, as you see, is greatness, inspiring greatness. And so these happen at YV And then that's the social media assembly. So I do social media assemblies. And so I did one at Riverview. And I also did one. So I have been reaching out to principals in the elementary level, even though I'm not in the elementary schools. And so to provide a social media assembly at no extra cost. And so Westwood, they did respond. And so that was exciting. And so I actually had the pleasure of hosting their school for their 4th and 5th graders for a social media assembly. And then I'm the other school that's close to Riverview, I can't think of the name right now. They're also going to get on calendar. I'm excited about that. And then we also partnered to do the toy giveaway. So we provided over 200 toys for the toy giveaway, and that was really fun. Afterwards, there was also other families that didn't get anything. And so then we also provided clothes and shoes to a few families that were in need that they sent us an email about. So that was really cool. And those are all the toys that we had set up. And then this is about the expo that's coming up. And the conclusion is, yep, our goal is to maintain our 100% graduation rate and just to continue to be, to bridge the gap. That's the overall goal, is to continue to bridge the gap between the teachers, parents, and students. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say I really appreciate the work that you do with our students.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for trusting us with your students.
I did have a question. You said your goal is to maintain 100% graduation rate.
Mhm.
Are you also looking at beyond, there's the minimal graduation requirements, but then beyond that, if students want to go to college, there's like the A through G requirements. Do you get into that kind of?
So I don't
section
know.
as well?
I don't know the answers to that
Okay.
because I'm not the one that actually does the data, but that's a good question I'm going to ask.
Okay.
I will ask that question
Awesome.
to know for the next time.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You used to, on graduation, your girls would have their own.
Sashes.
You
Yep, they
still
still
do
get
that?
sashes. Yep, all of the girls that from YV last year got sashes. So this year, YV and Mount Diablo, they were all. So every time, whenever you see those little beautiful pink sashes, you know that they are successful purpose. Yep, just like the matching shirts, right? So everything's hot pink.
One more question to take back to your college person.
Yes.
Just whether you guys are getting the word out about Cal Kids, the calkids.org. I can give this to you.
Like you want to give me
Yeah. Yeah, the free money for college that the state is doing right now. Just another resource in case you're probably already doing it, but just
I'm
in case.
sure that they probably are, but if not, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate this information. It's
Thank you.
important to share.
Could you describe what you present in the social media assemblies?
Oh, of course. So 4 major topics that we discussed, which is cyberbullying, threats, exposure, and subliminal posts, right? Because we know that those are the 4 major topics. And at the elementary level, I'm not just talking about social media, I'm talking about the game, right? Because they're on the game so much, right? They're on these devices. We have 3-year-olds on devices, right? And so it's very important to educate them on that. And so like when I go through the assembly, we do scenarios, right? And so the scenarios are really real that they can relate to. And then I'm asking them questions. So once we go through the scenario, I say, okay, I need you 4 solutions over here, 4 ways it can be avoided over here. And that way it's very interactive, And so during the assembly, I give out different wristbands, but they get wristbands. And then I'm sure you guys always see me in Mrs. Key, my sweatsuit. I'm always wearing her. Why? Because she's the mascot for Family Purpose. Surprised I don't have her on today. But and so I give out those hoodies during the assembly, right? And so if a student remembers the secret word for word, then if I call them, they have an opportunity to win a hoodie. And so one of the secrets, let's just say to expose, right, is if you can't keep your own secret, don't expect somebody else to. Right. And that, and because a lot of our students are sending pictures, they're in group chats, right? And they're just without really knowing the consequence behind it. And so we go through all the different ways it could be avoided and things like that. And so it's really, really powerful. We also do live demonstrations during the assembly. So the students really, really enjoy it. I think they enjoy that they get the hoodies more than anything. And then also give out books too, because I have created a kids series around the STOP, the framework. And so they also get to get these books that they can relate to because the slides are based off the book. You're welcome.
I just want to comment. I want to thank Ms. Turner just for her service to Mount Diablo. If you remember, she came when we were making the hard decision to close Diablo Day, and she had been providing some services there with some students, and we recognized her work, that she had an unwavering commitment to young students and saw them for what they are. And slowly, you know, she started with a small contract at YV, and it spread over to Concord High for a little bit, and then out to Riverview and Mount Diablo. So it just shows the need there, and shows really what is important to me, and I know what's important to this board, is that we're providing all of our students with that good quality care, that they're cared for, and that they can reach whatever goals that they set forth. And so it's just really neat to see how the program has evolved in our district, and how you know, you're really showing our students how much they matter. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
again. I appreciate you guys for having us. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I really love the way that all of the interactions that you have, where you're not just speaking at them, you know, where you've got the interactions with the students and with the parents and the families. So thank you so
Yeah,
much for being
actually-
out there.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm actually having a parent night coming up at Riverview in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Okay, and so we've no need for meeting extension. We've no closed session items for carryover. Any suggestions for future agenda items?
No, I just want to just reiterate, as we hear public comments, or as we receive comments, you know, we do have staff that follow up on those. You know, Melanie walked out when I was acknowledging the work that her team does on the HVAC systems, and then on the homeless issue. You know, Melanie was hard at work, you know, and the team Sunday morning dealing with blackouts. And so I bring that up because it's not a need for an agenda item, but if there was an issue that we couldn't solve, or that we needed to put more resources to, then definitely we would bring that forward as an agenda item. And so so again, the team is working hard to meet the needs that come up throughout the district, and just very happy with them. But please, I'll continue with my weekly meetings with you all, and as you guys come up with things that you'd like more information on, if we can't provide that information, then we'll come and do a staff report, or a contract to address those particular needs or goals. All right.
I adjourn this meeting.
All right.